See, now this is what the third kind of relationship. We call it as the inheritance. Inheritance. So we can simply say about this. It's used. It's used to implement. It's used to implement is a kind of relationship. It is used to represent or implement is a kind of relationship. Is a kind of relationship. Okay. So if I want to say more about this one, see, inheritance, it's very important, very important oops concept, we can say. It's very important oops concept, or we can say feature. Okay, it is very important oops concept or a feature actually. We can say about inheritance that it's a mechanism. It's a mechanism in which object of one class can acquire properties of object of another class. What it is? It is a mechanism in which object of one class can acquire properties of object of another class. Or in another words, or very simple word, I can say the parent-child relationship between classes is nothing but inheritance. Parent-child relationship between the classes is nothing but inheritance. So in this child class acquires properties of parent class, we can say parent class. Okay, or in another word I can say the class which acquires the properties of other class. The class which acquires the properties of other class, we call it as the parent class. Okay, and the class which acquires the properties of other class, we call it as the child class. And the class which properties will be get acquired, the class which properties will be get inherited by child is called as a parent class. So in this, child class acquires the properties of a parent class. Okay, so it is exactly similar with our parent-child relationship. In our parent-child relationship, parent's property will be get inherited to the child. Okay, so lawfully every child will get parent's property by default. Okay, so exactly same way, parent class property will be get inherited by child. What is the property of a class? Class have the data members and class have the methods. Every class have the data members and every class have the methods. So that data members and the methods of the class will be get inherited, will be get available to the child class. And that is what the mechanism, we call it as the inheritance. Okay, so this parent class is also called as superclass. We call it as the superclass or a base class. Okay, and child class is also called as a derived class, we can say. It is called as a derived class or a child class, or we call it as a subclass. It is also called as a we call it as the subclass. It is also called as a subclass. So again, in another word, I can say hierarchical representation of a classes. Hierarchical representation of a classes is nothing but what I can say is nothing but inheritance. Is nothing but inheritance. So for example, as in the previous session I have shown you that every person, like assume I do have a class, okay, as a person. I do have a class as a person, okay, and there is another one class. I want to write here, okay, I want to write here class as a, okay, that is employee. Okay, so every employee is a person. So this is what the relationship. We call it as is a employee is a person. So if such a kind of relationship exists between a classes, then that is what we call it as the inheritance. Okay, so if two classes have the inheritance kind of relationship, it will be get implemented. By using the keyword extends. So simply we have to write like, for example, class person will be there, class employee, and we can write extends. See the spelling mistake. Extends. I can write here a person. So if I am writing like this one, if I am writing like a, sorry, where it is? See, if I am writing like this one, class employee extends a person. So here class person is a parent class. It is the parent class, and here employee we call it as the child class. And such a parent-child relationship between a classes, we call it as the inheritance. So whatever the members present here in the person, whatever the properties and the methods present in the person, that will be get inherited in the employee class. That will be get available in the employee class. That means what? If I create object of employee, that object can have a members of a person. Because they share the relationship as a inheritance. Then the question might become like, then why inheritance? So actually inheritance came here for two purposes. What is one? It's used to provide the extensibility. And the second, it's used to provide reusability. So that is what the two purposes of the inheritance. And if we have to implement it, we can use the extends keyword. And extends keyword itself says that this employee and a person, they are in relationship with each other, and the relationship is a parent-child relationship here. Employee is a child, person is a parent. Okay, and person is already exists over here. Okay, so now how it is extends? That means that assume like we have created this one class. It is already running. It is already using. Okay, it is used somewhere. Now you want to add some functionality. Okay, it is not a good thing that we have to go to this person class. We have to add the things over here. So what we can do, we can create a new class. We can add the new functionality in that one, and we can make the relationship of person with the extend employee, so that whatever the functionalities of this person will becomes here in the employee. Now employee have the functionality of a person as well as a new extended functionality or new added functionality will be get added. So that is what the extensibility. Okay, and reusability is what the code which we have put it in the person. Now if you want to share in another, okay, so you can just make the relationship. Okay, so that this class, employee class, can share whatever the code we guys have put it in the person class. So these are the two purposes, these are the two reasons why inheritance is there. Why inheritance is there. Clear, guys? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Any question, any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay, good. Now we can just simply see here. Actually, there are different types of inheritance. Types of inheritance. Types of inheritance are there. So again, it is very simple one. So I can say simply one single inheritance is single inheritance. Single inheritance is what only two classes are involved in this one. So for example, if assume like I have created a class parent, I have created a class parent. Okay, some code I have been put it over here. Okay, class parent, and now I want to create a class. I just have written the child. Okay, writing the name as a child is not enough. So if I want to make the single inheritance kind of relationship between these two classes, I have to use extends keyword. Extends. So I just writing here extends and name of a class as a parent over here. I can write like this one. So if only two classes are involved in the inheritance, then we call it as the single inheritance. So he see here, if I have created object of a child class, okay, by using a child class member, by using a child class object, I can invoke the members of a parent as well as the members of a child. See here, by using, or I can just write here note. Okay, by using object of a child, we can invoke members of parent as well as child. See, by using object of a child, we can invoke members of a parent as well as a child class. But by using object of parent, we can invoke members of parents only. Parent only. So which class object must be created, guys? Is it a parent or child? Yes. Which class object must be created? We should create a object of a child class. Why? Because by using object of a child class, we can invoke members of a parent as well as a members of a child. Okay, but by using a parent class object, we can invoke only members of a parent. So it is in the inheritance, or I can say in inheritance, we should always create a object of object of child class. No doubt, we can create object of parent class, but we should not. Because if we create object of parent, we can invoke the members of parent only. So we should always create object of a child class only. Okay. And here one very important note I want to put here again, that private members, see, private members of parent class, private members of parent class are not available. Private members of parent class are not available for inheritance. It is very important statement, remember. Private members of parent class are not available, because we already have been observed private members will be used within a same class only. So if I do have any member of a parent class as a private, that cannot be reused here in the child class. That cannot be extended here in the child class. Okay, that will be not inherited in the child class. Okay, that means what? Only public and the default members of the parent class will be available to the child. Only public and the default members of the parent class will be get available. But you guys know that if we have implemented only public and the default, then that can be accessed from anywhere. But if my data is secure, if sensitive, then how can I do? So within inheritance, we should use protected access modifier by replacing a private one. So private will be get replaced by protected. So in inheritance, we are going to use the protected. So if you talk about the protected member is available. Protected member is available to child classes. Protected member is available to the child classes, we can say. So this is what very basic thing about this one. Then I can say there is another one relationship like this one. See, there is a second one kind of, we can say multi-level inheritance. Within multi-level inheritance, same kind of things will be there. See, okay, up to this one. Okay, that is what up to parent and a child. Control C. Okay, there will be, we are going to add one more level like a control V. See, class parent, class child extends parent. I will write like this one, class. Okay, child 2. Okay, which extends child 1. Okay, like this one. So if such a kind of, see, parent will be get inherited by child 1. Child 1 is been inherited by child 2. So if such a kind of inheritance is there, then it is called as a multi-level inheritance is there. Then there will be a hierarchical inheritance. Then there will be a multiple inheritance. That hierarchical inheritance is the inheritance in which there will be a 2 parents and 1 child. That is what the hierarchical. And multiple inheritance is what? For there will be a 2 parent and 1 child for the multiple inheritance, and which is not possible in the Java. That we will discuss later in the tomorrow's session. Yes, any doubt, any question up to this?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, then